The 1960s is full of so many memories that mean so much to so many. I decided to put together another collection of things you might remember from the 1960s. This time, however, I used the comments of the last video to create the list. So if you grew up in the 60s, you will remember many of these things provided by you, the viewers. Bomb shelters, along with duck and cover drills, were pretty standard in the early 60s. President Kennedy even suggested building a shelter in case of a nuclear exchange with the Soviet Union. The Twilight Zone, hosted by Rod Serling, was a must-watch for any kid. The other sci-fi show that had kids hooked was The Outer Limits, which started out each show by saying, "There is nothing wrong with your television set." The nightly news of the late 60s was for many a constant reminder of what was going on in Vietnam. Walter Cronkite, in particular, was a central figure in shaping public opinion about the war. The toys from this period were classic, and kids across the country absolutely loved trying to knock the heads off of the Rock'em Sock'em robots. Another popular toy was Major Matt Mason, an action figure from Mattel that you could bend, but the wire frames would often break at the knee or elbow over time. Whammo Super Balls were another novelty toy that kids loved to bounce as high as possible. But then the race was on to chase after it. Go-go boots were trendy footwear for young women during the mid-60s. These knee-high boots were usually shiny white patent leather that made you look like a Bond girl. The first television show you may have ever watched in color was the animated series The Jetsons on ABC. The show lasted for just 24 episodes, but it made kids wonder about what the future would hold. Who remembers Boys Life magazine? This official scouting magazine was a must-read, and it seemed like every boy growing up in the 60s had a subscription. If you wanted to play cops and robbers, or maybe even cowboys and Indians, there is no doubt you were packing a realistic-looking cap gun revolver. These toy guns would pop and even smoke when fired, adding realism to any outdoor gunfight. Star Trek was another series that made us wonder not only about space travel, but also life on other planets. The show was also one of the first to feature a racially diverse cast, which was groundbreaking at the time. Who didn't love stopping for a meal while traveling the highways of America? And there was no better place than the orange roof of a Howard Johnson's. Not only did they have 28 flavors of ice cream, but they served the best fried clams around. The 1960s Batman television show was a favorite for fans of the Caped Crusader. The comic book style of graphics that were added to fight scenes, along with the cliffhanger endings, made Batman fun to watch. Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color was a popular family program that aired on Sunday evenings. The NBC show was hosted by Disney himself and featured wholesome movies that were broadcast in color. On weekends, you may have tagged along with Dad to a convenience store or drugstore to use the self-service TV tube tester. Testing the TV tubes always felt important and was an exciting excursion that gave you an excuse to watch more TV. Surfer music took the decade by storm, first by guitarist Dick Dale, and later with the California sound created by the Beach Boys and Jan and Dean. The beehive hairstyle was popular with women in the 60s. The conical updo was made even more iconic by celebrities of the day. You couldn't go anywhere in the 1960s without running into a huge ashtray, littered with smoked cigarettes. Seemingly every adult smoked during this decade, and the ashtray was essential in every room of the house. Who didn't love cooking up some Jiffy Pop popcorn? The self-popping pan was as entertaining to watch as it was to eat. The game of jacks had been played for centuries, but in the 1960s it became even more popular. The six-pointed metal pieces would be scattered on the ground, and with the bounce of the rubber ball, you would try to collect onesies or twosies, and so on. Creepy crawlers was a fun activity to make your own rubberized insects. Not only did you get to pour goop into molds, but it came with a cool mini oven that heated to 350 degrees for curing the creepy crawlers. The Andy Griffith Show was standard viewing in many households. Not only was it funny, but it had a wholesome quality that felt like a time gone by. The colorful cast of characters made the show a favorite for many and would lead to many spin-offs. To finish out the list, collecting bottles was an easy way to make a little bit of spending money for a kid. So it wasn't unusual to see a radio flyer wagon dragging behind with the sounds of clanging glass, going from door to door. If you enjoyed this video, check out the description for links that help support the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching.